Hi everyone, this is Priya from B.S. Abdurrahman Crescent University, and the course I have selected is Programming Paradigms, and the module in which the topic I have selected for the lecture is Object-Oriented Paradigm. So Object-Oriented Paradigm, the agenda of the course, like what I am going to cover in the 10 minutes is object-oriented programming concepts, objects, about the objects, how we have to select objects, and about classes, constructors, and an example program with methods and messages. So to start with, we already know about the old style of programming, procedural programming, functional programming, where it lacks in modularity. So it also gives much complexity when we code. So programming is really difficult in case of old style. So we can compare this with the analogy, like we have a conventional kitchen where we have to install chimneys, gas stoves, and we have to use existing shelves in the conventional kitchen. But in the case of modular kitchen, we can have plugins, we can install whatever we need to have it instantly. So now our modular type of programming, that is object-oriented programming, like a modular kitchen where we can easily plug in things, reuse it, and a modularity also exists in it. So here we have to know about the object first. So what is an object? Object is a active one which does something, so it has its own data. It is a physical, tangible thing which is living thing or non-living thing both. So we can have some thinking methodology for object. How we can find an object? So we'll have two kinds of finding out, identifying an object. One is induction as well as deduction. So in induction, we have to move from specialization to generalization. For example, a two-wheeler, a scooty. Scooty is a specialization and two-wheeler is generalization. Similarly, to create a word dog from dogs, and we can say that dog is specialization and animal is a generalized one. Similarly, we can also move from generalization to specialization, which is said to be deduction. So generalization is nothing but animal and specialization is dog. So this is the moving from generalized to specialization or specialized to generalization. So this design methodology can also be referred to as functional decomposition and functional composition. We can have one example for that, studying a system. So for example, if I wanted to read a book from a library or from a table, so I can decompose it as a function 1, function 2, function 3, in which the function 1 will be the desk, and after I am decomposing it as the desk will have a left drawer and a right drawer, and there will be a filling cabinet, or there will be a tabletop where I can read the book, take the book and read it. So this is functional decomposition. So in design methodology, we can have both a top down as well as bottom up approach with functional decomposition and composition. So this is composition is nothing but it is a bottom up approach where we will have a system for studying. So from the left drawer, it composes to the system at the top. We will also use modules, and it will have procedures which owns data. So data also plays a secondary role. So this does not necessarily reflect the states of the abstractions in the applications. So an application will have objects, obviously. So objects will be having data. So data, again, it will have states. So if we say in this system, the previous examples, so everything is object. So any system which is composed of object, system is also an object. So evolution and development of a system, it is also caused by interactions of an object. So the interactions of object may be inside the system or outside the system. So here the examples of the object are given, like a student, professor, desk, chair, classroom, building, university, the whole world, universe, maths, history, the subjects we are learning, everything is an object. As I told you already, object will have a state. So state of an object is it is represented by data, only data. So object contains both data and methods, and methods always manipulate the data. Data is nothing but the information. So data also describes the relationship between the objects and one object and other objects. So for example, I can say checking account, it is something, a function, checking account. So this might have a balance, and it is done by somebody, a person, owner. So the balance is the internal state of the account, and owner is somebody, some object which is representing a person. So this object is having state as well as the method checking account. So owner object is having state and method checking account. So I can give another example for object. For example, a student can be an object, a table, chair, anything can be object. Here we have taken rabbit. So rabbit, properties of rabbit will be the size of rabbit, the color of the rabbit, the category in which it is listed. So what is the size of the tail of the rabbit, or it has a long 2 ears, and all these are properties. So that it would also have data like how hungry it is, how frightened it is, and where it is. So it can have methods of eat, hide, run, dig. So this will be the rabbit object which has data as well as methods. So the next concept will be the class. So every object will belong to a class. So we can say group of objects will form a class. So object is an instance of a class. So class is like a template. It is like for example, I can have class. Inside the class I can have the properties and methods of the class. So properties, a student is a class. So properties of the student will be his name, ID, roll number, date of birth, age, and the manipulations, the methods for him will be the course registration or mark analysis, etc. So class is a template, it is like a cookie cutter, and inside it will have cookies of different categories, the properties of cookies, and how we use to cook the cookies. So those methods and behaviors also will be described. This is an example for the class. So the box is a class, so we can give the properties of the box, and also we can give the manipulations of the methods of the box. So the terminology will be instance is nothing but object, and method is nothing but the function, and sending a message to an object is nothing but calling a function. So in hierarchy we have a class which is arranged in tree like structure, which is called a hierarchy. So class at the root is named as object. So every class except object has a superclass, and it also has subclasses. So when we use this object and class and design methodologies, we will use real world abstraction. So objects are the building blocks of a program. So we can say data managing object even in database. So this has OOPS concepts: encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance. So in encapsulation, data as well as procedures are bind together, information is hidden. So object will be created, can be destroyed. So that is why it will be attached and application can be removed easily. So evolution of this object orientation involves modules, information hiding, and data encapsulation and objects. So objects and classes, methods as well as properties, describe methods and properties. So class is also having constructor, which also has the same name as the class. So new keyword is used to call the constructor. So there are different types of constructors. So I can describe class as a mere robo which is having just methods, properties and methods. So I can say the properties form the red light in the robo, and methods will be the green light in the robo. So to glow this robo, that is a red light, and to operate the red light and green light in the robo, to make the robo move when the red light glows, and make the robo stop when the green light glows. So to do this, we need some operator called dot operator. So this dot operator will be accessed only with the help of the objects. So objects will be declared in the main method. So the main method will be used as the battery or the it is the power backup for the robo. So always a robo will be the class, and if we wanted to access that class using object, we have to give some power signal that is given by the main method. And when I want to operate it using that object, dot operator is important, which can be easily compared to the remote operator for operating the robo, glowing the lights and moving the robo from one place to another. So this one is example for the class and object creation. So this is a basic C++ program. So the comparison is very clear to understand all the class, objects and